Imagine a quiet moment in your morning routine, perhaps while you are waiting for the kettle to boil or simply standing near the bathroom sink. In this brief window of time, there is a tiny physical check, and that takes exactly 10 seconds, yet scientists now believe it might be one of the most profound indicators of your future health, particularly once you have celebrated your 80th birthday. The challenge is deceptively simple: stand on one leg, without holding onto the countertop, without grabbing a chair, and see if you can maintain that position for a full 10 count. If you can do this comfortably, that is wonderful news. However, if you find your foot tapping down or your body swaying uncontrollably before the 10 seconds are up, do not panic, but do pay attention. A significant piece of research coming out of Brazil, which tracked nearly 2,000 older adults over several years, uncovered a startling correlation. They found that the inability to balance on one leg was linked to a significantly higher statistical risk of mortality from all causes. While those numbers can sound alarming, I want you to view them differently today. Think of this test not as a prediction of doom, but rather as a check engine light on your car's dashboard. When that light flickers on, it does not mean the car is broken. It simply means it is time for a tune-up to keep things running smoothly. The most encouraging part of this medical story is often the part that gets left out of the headlines. Your balance is not a fixed trait like your eye color. It is a skill, much like playing the piano or learning a new language, and your body retains the incredible ability to relearn and sharpen this skill at any age. Whether you are 50, 75, or 95, your nervous system is plastic, meaning it can mold and adapt to new challenges. The same researchers who identified the risks also pointed toward the solutions. It turns out that you do not need to spend hours in a gymnasium or purchase complex machinery to reset your body's stability. By focusing on just 3 specific types of movement, you can target the exact physiological systems that keep you upright: your inner ear, which acts as your internal level; your proprioception, which is your brain's ability to know where your limbs are in space; and your lower body strength, which provides the anchor. When you train these systems in harmony, you do not just get better at a 10-second test, you regain the confidence to navigate uneven sidewalks, play with grandchildren, and move through your home with freedom. We are going to walk through these 3 vital movements in a specific order, starting with the foundation and working our way up to the most impactful exercise. I want you to think of this as building a house. We need to lay the bricks before we put on the roof. The third most critical exercise for reclaiming your stability is what we call the tandem walk, though you might know it better as the heel-to-toe walk. This movement is unique because it addresses dynamic balance. While standing on one leg is a static challenge, your life is lived in motion. You are constantly shifting weight as you walk to the mailbox, maneuver around the coffee table, or step out of the shower. Dynamic balance is the ability to remain stable while your center of gravity is shifting. Research suggests that for many seniors, the ability to walk in a straight, controlled line is actually a more practical predictor of fall risk than standing still. When you lose dynamic balance, you start to widen your stance, waddling slightly to feel safe, which ironically makes you less agile when you encounter a tripping hazard. The tandem walk retrains your brain to be comfortable with a narrow base of support. To perform this correctly, you need to set yourself up for success. Find a clear hallway or a long stretch of open floor in your living room. It is crucial that you position yourself near a wall or a sturdy piece of furniture. You likely will not need to hold it, but knowing it is there acts as a safety net, allowing your brain to relax enough to learn. Stand tall, take a deep breath to settle your nerves, and begin to walk in a straight line. Place the heel of your right foot directly against the toes of your left foot, as if you are walking on a tightrope. Then, step the left foot forward, placing that heel against the right toes. It sounds incredibly simple until you try it. You might feel a wobble immediately. That wobble is good. It is your ankle stabilizers waking up and firing. These tiny muscles around the ankle joint are often neglected, but they are your first line of defense against a fall. There is a subtle secret to mastering the tandem walk that involves your vision. Our natural instinct when we feel unsteady is to look down at our feet to make sure we are placing them correctly. However, I want you to resist that urge. Lift your chin and cast your gaze forward, perhaps focusing on a picture frame at the end of the hall. When you look down, you are relying too heavily on your eyes for balance, allowing your inner ear to become lazy. By looking ahead, you force your vestibular system, that internal level in your ear, to do the heavy lifting. Start with just 20 steps a day. As you get better, you can challenge yourself by slowly turning your head from side to side as you walk. This introduces a new variable that mimics real life, like glancing at a shop window while walking down the street, ensuring your balance works even when you are distracted. Once we have addressed moving balance, we must address the engine that powers your stability. This brings us to the second most important exercise, the sit, to stand, or the chair squat. It is impossible to discuss balance without discussing strength. You could have the most precise inner ear in the world, but if your legs lack the horsepower to support your weight, gravity will win. The muscles of your thighs and your glutes are the largest muscle groups in the body, and they serve as the brakes that catch you when you stumble. If you trip, your brain sends a lightning, fast signal to your leg to step out and catch your weight. If the muscle is too weak to accept that load, the knee buckles. Therefore, strengthening these muscles is not about bodybuilding. It is about fall-proofing your frame. To do this effectively, choose a sturdy dining chair. Avoid soft sofas that you sink into. Sit on the edge of the seat with your feet flat on the floor, roughly hip-width apart. The golden rule here is to try and keep your hands off the armrests. Cross your arms over your chest like you are giving yourself a hug. This ensures that your legs are doing 100% of the work. Hinge forward slightly at the hips, press your heels into the floor, and stand up to a full upright position. Squeeze your glutes gently at the top. Now, here is where the magic happens the way down. Do not just drop back into the seat. Take 3 full seconds to lower yourself. That slow, controlled descent is what we call the eccentric phase of the movement, and studies show this is where we build the most strength and control. If you cannot do this without hands yet, that is perfectly fine. Use a high cushion to raise the seat height, or use one hand for light support, gradually weaning yourself off as you get stronger. Aim for 10 repetitions a day. You will feel a difference in how sturdy you feel when climbing stairs or getting out of a car within just a few weeks. Now we arrive at the number 1 exercise, the most potent tool in your toolkit for passing that 10-second test and securing your longevity. It is the single leg stance itself. This adheres to a neurological principle known as specificity. If you want to get better at playing the violin, you must play the violin. If you want to get better at standing on one leg, you must practice standing on one leg. General exercise helps, but specific practice rewires the brain. However, the mistake most people make is practicing it the same way every day. They hold on to the kitchen sink, lift a foot, and stand there. While better than nothing, your brain quickly adapts to this and stops improving. To see real change, especially if you want to see those longevity benefits, you need a progression strategy. Start at your kitchen counter. Place both hands on the surface and lift one foot just an inch off the floor. Do not wrap your leg around the other calf, keep it free. Hold for 10 seconds, then switch. Do this until it feels boring. When it becomes easy, that is your signal to move to level 2, lift one hand off the counter, using only the other hand for support. Once that becomes comfortable, move to level 3, use only the fingertips of one hand. You are barely touching the counter now, it is just a whisper of support. Finally, you graduate to no hands at all, hovering them over the counter just in case. This gradual reduction of support forces your brain to build new neural pathways, literally upgrading the connection between your mind and your muscles. There is a fascinating nuance here regarding when and how to practice. You do not need to carve out a 30-minute block of time for this. In fact, exercise snacking, doing small bouts frequently, is often more effective for balance training. Brush your teeth while standing on the left leg in the morning and the right leg in the evening. Stand on one leg while the microwave counts down. By integrating this into your day, you make it a habit rather than a chore. If you reach a point where standing on one leg for 10 seconds is easy, do not stop there. The research shows that adding challenges like closing your eyes creates a massive spike in effectiveness. When you close your eyes, you remove visual cues, forcing your body to rely entirely on internal sensors. It is much harder, so be sure you are safe and ready for it, but the payoff for your stability is enormous. It is also worth noting that the confidence you gain from these exercises is just as valuable as the physical strength. Many seniors fall into a cycle of fear. They feel unsteady, so they move less. Because they move less, their muscles weaken and their balance degrades, which makes them feel even more unsteady. It is a shrinking world. By engaging in these 3 simple movements, the tandem walk for dynamic control, the chair squat for raw power, and the single leg stance for neurological calibration, you reverse that cycle. You start to feel your feet gripping the floor more firmly. You notice that you do not reach for the handrail quite as desperately. This physical confidence translates into mental confidence, encouraging you to go out, to travel, to engage with the world, which is the ultimate secret to longevity. Remember, the goal is not to become a gymnast. The goal is to build a buffer of safety so that if you do slip, or if you are jostled in a crowd, your body has the reflex and the strength to correct itself automatically. The Brazilian study that started this conversation highlighted a risk, but it also highlighted an opportunity. It showed us that balance is a vital sign, one that we can monitor and improve. You have the knowledge now. You understand that the heel to toe walk sharpens your coordination in motion. You know that the chair squat builds the foundation of strength required to hold you up. And you know that the single leg stance, practiced with progressive difficulty, rewires your brain for stability. Take a moment today to try that 10-second test again, perhaps after you have warmed up a bit. See where you stand. If you wobble, smile and know that you are simply at the starting line of a very rewarding improvement. Every second you add to your time is a tangible metric of your risk going down and your vitality going up. It is never too late to start, and the human body is incredibly forgiving if you just give it the right inputs. Start gently, be consistent, and listen to your body. We are building independence, one step, one squat, and one balanced moment at a time. We would love to hear how you go with these movements. Did you find the tandem walk trickier than the single leg stance? Everyone is different, and sharing your experience helps others realize they are not alone in this journey. Here is to your balance, your strength, and a long, active life ahead.